Hi everyone, welcome to Climb Your Everest workshops series. Today is session, I want to say 32, and we have our amazing friend Chandru here. He is here in California with me. It's 7:30 a.m. here, and for you guys in Nepal, it's 8:15 p.m. So today we want to learn something new, something that we've never done before, because I thought it would be very interesting to try a new topic. So I invited Chandru, and he was so kind to donate his time and energy to us to teach us Excel. And I think Microsoft Excel is a very important software for you to know if you want to get promotion, if you want to have better jobs. I use it a lot. I use Excel every day for data management, for analytical skills. When at university, when I grade my students, I'll just make a huge Excel sheet. Kind of, I let Excel to organize everything for me and do all the calculations for me rather than me doing everything by myself. So those of you who are teachers here, you can use Excel to expedite your work. It helps if you have your own business. It helps with business efficiency, career advancement. If you have it on your resume, you can easily get better jobs, right? So it helps with your career and your work and finding better jobs. Financial management, if you want to write down your budget and make a nice budget, or data visualization, you just have a lot of data and you want to put it in a graph or in a table or something so you can see everything. It really helps me with problem solving, with project management, really like my personal productivity. Remember when we did the time management session workshop together? I asked you to make a table, have the hours, and write down your schedule. I use Excel for my personal productivity, for time management, and it's very helpful. And sometimes if I want to send information to someone to have a better communication with my team in nonprofit or any other places, Excel really clear, it helps me have a clear communication. Automating my task, collaboration, like if you have an Excel sheet that is online, like everybody can work together and make it better. So there are so many things that you can do with Excel. I've known Excel for the past, let's say, 25 years, and I'm still learning every day how to do Excel better. And I think there's always tools and techniques in Excel that it's, kind of the new things, the new plugins, and the things that I didn't even know before. So I am very happy and thankful that Chandru is here today. And I'm the person with the most number of questions today, I guess. And I want you to start learning Excel. I asked Chandru to start from very basics. So all of you who've never worked with Excel, you can be with us, and everybody else who are very good at Excel, like Aslesha, she said she's done Excel before and she's very good at it. So I want everyone, I've done Excel for 25 years and I'm gonna learn new things today. So this is something new we've never done before, and I want to start doing more computer programming, computer software workshops. So this is a test. So I need your feedback. So after today, I want everyone to give me a feedback if this is something you want more of it or less of it. Okay. With no further ado, welcome Chandru. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Let's start.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Dr. Safari. Nice meeting everyone, and thank you for taking the time today. My name is Chandru. I'm a data analyst at Intuit here in California, and I cannot say more things than what Dr. Safari said about Excel. This is what I do on a daily basis. In the data analysis profession and also in the data science profession, people use Excel fundamentally for everything. This is the most used and most prevalent tool among all the tools that are available for data analysis and data science. And I've been using Excel all my life since I started probably my 10th grade, like about 20 years back. So what we are going to do today is I see there are people who already know a lot about Excel and also people who have hardly heard about it. So we'll just start from the basics, how to open a file, and then we'll just go through different options that are available, and then we will take it from there. And at any point, any of you have any questions, uh, please drop it in the chat. And Dr. Safari, if you could lay it out to me, that's helpful. Or you can stop me and ask me those questions. Like Dr. Safari said, I'm here. One thing with the YouTube videos is that if that is prompting you to ask any question, you cannot stop them and ask them. So that's the advantage we have for today. So please feel free to stop me and ask any questions you have.
Try to learn a lot of things from YouTube, but I need a live person next to the YouTube video to answer my question.
Of course, yeah. All right, so let me quickly share my screen. All right, okay. So this is what Excel looks like. By the way, I'm working from a Apple MacBook. So if you are using a Microsoft computer, like the operating system, a Dell laptop or a HP laptop, things will look a little bit different. But for most part, this is how Excel looks like. And for you to open the application, you go into Start in Microsoft and you type Microsoft Excel, and it will open something like this. Actually, it will open, I think the latest application that we have is, it will open something like this. Let's try from there. Okay. So, all right. So this is the first screen that will come up, depending on the version of the tool that you have. So we will select one of these templates that you see here. Again, taking a step back, what is a template? A template is something that is already set up for you and ready to use. So if you know that you're going to plan your personal budget for the month, so you have 10,000 rupees and you need to know like what are you going to spend in the 10,000 rupees, and what are you going to save and all that. So you can just open this personal budget and it would have already created a setup for you to start using. When we do not have anything like that, particularly for this purposes, what we're going to do is we'll just open a blank workbook. All right, I just double clicked on that and it opens something like this. So this entire area that you see here is Excel. Like this is all the area that we can work with. Let's go through some basics here. So the one that you see here on the top, home, insert, draw, page layout, this is what we call as menu bar. So under each of these different menu bars, sorry, can I make it bigger?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Up top, I thought like maybe like home, insert, draw, like as you're sharing with us, what's the menu?
Okay, so I mean, this is getting bigger, but I'm not seeing this getting bigger.
Okay.
Is this
All
okay?
right. I was just asking if it is.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so the one on the top, sorry if it is very small, if you're joined from the mobile or anything. So the top row that you have is what we call as menu bar. So under each of these different menus, we have multiple options. So home is what we primarily use. All of the most important or most frequently used options will be available within the home bar. And when you go into insert, then it shows you a bunch of different things. So you can see we can insert some charts, we can insert some shapes, some icons, some pictures, depending on whatever we want to do. And when you go into draw, I think this is particularly with respect to the MacBook. So like you can just draw things. This is not just a calculation-based application. This can also be used to teach people. So if you want to write something immediately and then you just want to make it clear to them, you can do all that. Then you have this page layout option, which is like, as you all know, I'm not sure how many of you worked with Microsoft Word. You have for simplicity, let's do this. Okay, so this is how everything looks like. This is what we call as landscape. And when you flip the paper and it is vertical, this is what becomes portrait. And you might hear this regularly in a lot of context. So all of the papers and everything that we have back in India, Nepal, so the default longer form is called portrait. And if you flip it horizontally, then it becomes landscape. So that's what you will see. So orientation is portrait, landscape. How do you want to see all of these things? Then you have formulas. Again, this is probably, we will go through this in the subsequent sessions, but Excel is super powerful in terms of the things that we can do. We can write a lot of formulas to simplify whatever you are doing on a daily basis with respect to if you're writing something in a notebook and then struggling with it, we can make all of those super efficient with writing formulas in Excel. And we have a few other options. I mean, in the interest of the context and time, we will not go through all of this, but like these are all special, sophisticated functions that we can use for a lot of purposes. Then we have review, view, and automate. So for today, I think the things that we are interested in is in the menu, in the home menu, and also in the insert menu. So I think for today, that is what we will cover. And this is the area where we work with. So you can start typing in anything here. So you will see this, you will see A, B, C, D, and all of these. We call them as columns. These are individual columns, and you see numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. We call them as rows. So Excel is a matrix. Matrix is a table kind of a thing of rows and columns. So if someone wants to type something here, so you are typing something in cell D8. So that is what you will see here. I'm not sure if you're able to see. Now we are in B5. So when you click on something, you have this thing on the top left corner that points you to which cell you are at. And a cell.
Make it a little bigger so we can.
Okay, yeah, that is what I'm trying to do, but then I'm only able to zoom in.
Okay.
Not able to.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm new to Mac and I'm trying to figure out how to make everything bigger and I'm still struggling with it. Okay. So going back to a cell, I mean, it sounds like a sophisticated term. It's nothing but a combination of a column and a row. So if you are in column D and if you are in row 6, then your cell is D6. So I'm just introducing you to all of these basic terms that we generally use. Rows are the ones that are horizontal, and columns are the ones that are vertical. And any intersection of a row and a column, we refer to it as a cell. And you can type anything in any of these cells. Like you can just say 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just, that is why we call it as a worksheet. This entire thing, this collection of rows and cells, this sheet one that you see in the bottom, this screen is called a worksheet. And an Excel file can have multiple worksheets. So you can work on something here. Say you have the data about your students' marks and everything in one sheet. Say they had their quarterly exams and those marks are in this sheet. and you can add additional sheets. There are things in the bottom when you can press the plus button and it will add another sheet. So now you can add your half-yearly exam marks over here, and you keep adding as many sheets as you want. All of these things is what we collectively call as a workbook, because a workbook has multiple sheets. And imagine everything is a sheet of paper. So you have a collection of sheets. That is why we call it as a workbook. Let me take a pause here. Any questions so far?
For those of you who came a little later, Maya, Pratima, Jasmine, Prakriti, welcome. Thank you for being here. Unisha, we are doing something new and different, which is learning Excel. In any of the workshops before, we've never done Excel. And I think it's a very important software for you guys to know and get better at it. So that's why we are doing what we are doing. So if you're a little surprised like what's going on right now, is that I want you to, if whatever, how much experience you have in Excel, you might know it, you might not know it, you might be very good at it. I've been doing it for 25 years, so, but I'm still learning. So I want everyone to use this time with Chandru and ask any Excel question that you have, even if it sounds like a simple question, that's totally fine. This is your opportunity because I think it's extremely important. Sorry, I interrupted you, Chandru.
No worries, Dr. Sir. So yeah, any questions so far from anyone? Okay. All right. Sorry, Prakriti, did you have a question?
Yes, sir, everything is clear. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let's keep going then. I really wish I can make this bigger. But I only end up making this.
But it is pretty good. Like right now, I can see everything.
Okay. All right. So
By ourselves.
sorry, what was that?
We can zoom in our screen, on our screen.
You can. Okay. You're saying you can. Okay. That is good. All right. Cool. Thank you. Okay. So, all right. So let's look into some of the options that we have here, right? So every time when you open a file in Microsoft, you might have used Word, PowerPoint, a lot of other things. So you have basic options, right? So you have an option to save the file. So when you open something new, it always creates a default name and you can save it. So you are doing a lot of work in your Excel, you spent a couple of hours. If you don't save it, it is lost. So we want to save the file. And when you click on that save button, okay, by the way, let me go back to this. So you have this button on the top that I just clicked. If you click on that, it will give you this option. Hey, how do you want to save this file as, right? So I'm just gonna call it test1, and I'm just gonna save it in my documents, just so I will not lose the work that I'm going to do. So you can, so the two things that are important for you to know when you're saving something, again, I'm just going very basic. For people who are familiar with this, bear with me. You need to enter a file name so that you can recognize what it is, and you need to select where you want to store this file as, regardless of whatever application you're using. It could be a Microsoft computer, or it could be a Apple computer. So you select the location and you say save. Now your file would be saved in that name. I'm not sure if you're able to see in the top, the file name. Yeah, the file name would now be test1 and it is saved to my Mac. You will see it on the top. So now our file is saved, right? So we have a few things that we can do here. Let me start from here. So you have all of the different font options, like whatever font you want to choose. There are so many different fonts that come default. So all of these options, then you have different font sizes. And these buttons you have here is to increase or decrease the size of your font. Then if you have worked with Word, you would know bold, italicized, and underline. It is just to format the content in your screen. Let me type in my name. So say I have this. Now I want to change this to a different font. I just go in there and I change it to a different font. I can increase the size of this, decrease the size of this, make it bold, or I can make it italic. Italic is just a tilted thingy, or you can make it underlined. So it will give you an option. Then I can change the color of this. Right now it is in black. I want it in orange. I can do that. And the other color that you see here is what color you want to fill your cell with. So now the name Chandru is in the cell B1. And if I select this and if I say yellow or orange, so I can just color that particular cell in the background however I want. Right. So, okay, that is that. And we have these alignment options, which is, do you want it to be left aligned? Let's increase the size of this cell. Okay, let me go back to that. So you can increase or decrease the width of your column or your row. So you go take your mouse pointer and you point it between two different columns and you see this double arrow that you're currently seeing, and you click and you drag to the right, it will increase the size of the width. Similarly, when you go to the row, again, it becomes, I kept my mouse pointer between row 1 and 2, and it becomes a double-edged dragging thing. Now I can make it bigger or smaller. Right. So this is my row. Now I can keep it, align it to the left, or align it in the middle, or align it to the right, or let's go back to left. Now I can align it in the top, or I can align it in the middle, or I can align it in the bottom. So these are all the different options that you have. Like when it comes to the primary function of Excel, we might not be using a lot of this, but then it is important to know what are all the different options that you have. Then you can merge different cells. So I'm in B1. If I select B1 and C1, and I go to this, and if I say merge cells, now this entire thing becomes one single cell. So now I have combined two cells. If you have some content that is bigger than the size of a particular cell, and if you want to merge all of the cells together, you can do that. And
do it again.
Do it again. Okay. So let's go back. Now I have B column B1 and C1 separately. So I'm just selecting B and C together. And I go to merge in center and I say merge cells. Now I can combine those two things together. Yeah. Then this is this. Okay, this is important. So you have all of these options. So what it tells you is the content of your cell, it lets you format what it is. Say I need to say Chandru, I need to create a list of people and what salaries they are making, right? So I'm just, let me go to the new.
Because we have teachers, list of my students and their
Okay, let's do list of teachers, and let's say teacher. I'm just gonna create a table for you here, right? So we have teachers.
like students and then their grades.
Okay, and we have students and their grades. So let's say I'm seeing Sabine in the top, so I'm gonna use Sabine's name. Say Sabine has two students, Chandru and Dr. Sarah. And then Sabine, say Sabine teaches different subjects, right? So I will create subjects, and Chandru in English got 90. Dr. Sarah in English got 95. Now, Sabine also teaches mathematics. Say Chandru got 85. And Dr. Sarah got 90. So this is all the data that is associated with Sabine, right? So this is how we type in things, and this entire set of things is what we call as a table. And anything that we do, any calculation that we do is all based on what data we have, right? So now if you see, I have different text here. All of this are text, and I have a number, right? So I can have my marks as a whole number, or I can get 90.5 or 90.25 or 90.75. So what I can do is I can increase the decimal places of the marks that we have. So I went to the top here, and you see this option here that says increase decimal, and you hover on the other one, it says decrease decimal. So I clicked on increase decimal. It just keeps increasing the number of decimal places that I have, or I can decrease decimal. So if you select multiple rows, and you can do the same thing. So you can increase decimal or you can decrease decimal. So similarly, all of the alignment options and everything that we have, you can either select a single cell and do it accordingly, or you can select multiple cells and you can do it accordingly. So for now, let's create some more rows. I see Unisha. So Unisha is another teacher. Say I have Ram as a student and English. For simplicity, I'm just gonna make it all whole numbers. I say I have Sita. 99.
To decrease the decimal of all those numbers together, he selected the whole thing together and he did it. So you don't have to do it one by one. You can just select a bunch.
Yeah, you can always, yeah, depending on whatever you want to do, you can just select two of those and you can do it, or you can select all of these and you can do it, or you just select one of these and do it. So all of these properties that we are trying to apply can apply to one single cell, or it can apply to a group of cells. So same thing. Okay. Let's see, mathematics. Let's say 93, 91. Okay. So I have two teachers here, and I have 4 students. Then I have 2 subjects. Then I have grades for each of these people, right? Let's first format this into a nice block. So this is the option that I have. I go into this borders option, and I'm going to select all borders. So now I have a nice table with all of the borders, right? And I want to highlight the headers. So I'm just going to select all of the first row data, and I'm going to select click bold. So now I know this is the header, and this is all the data that I have here, right? So again, to repeat, you can select a single cell and do any of these operations, or you can select a group of cells. And earlier I showed you that merge option. So let's see another use for it. So if you want to you want to insert a row or a column between already existing row or a column, you can go there So I want to insert a row above row 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to row 1. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say insert. Or I can go to row 1 and you see the menu option here on the right that I'm hovering. You say insert sheet rows. So it will insert a row. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge all of this. And I'm going to say, this is my report card. And I want it to be in the middle. And I'm going to nicely format it in blue color and change the color to white, change it to bold. That looks better. So this is why we would need to use the merge functions and all of those things. Right, and say now Sabine has one more student and I missed to enter the data for that student. What I can do is I can go and do the same thing. I can go point to row 7. I can say insert sheet rows and it will insert a row. Now I'll type in Sabine and say Sabine has 3 students for mathematics. Say that person's name is Harini and she scored 100. So we can insert data in between anywhere we want. It is always easy to insert data towards the end because you can just go type things in. But then if you missed something in the middle and you want it to be inserted, so you can do this. And similarly, if you want to
Just wanted to say that my top menu is not doesn't look like yours, and that's okay. I just want to see people who have access on your computer. Your top menu doesn't have to be necessarily like Chandra's. We have our own version of it, and he modified it probably to have this way up there. So it's okay. But if you wanted to add a row, you can just right click there and it gives you the option. So
yeah.
don't be confused if it to the top menu looks very different.
Yeah, and depending on the, thank you, Dr. Safari. So it varies depending on a lot of things. Your Excel application could be, like Excel has multiple years of application. So if your Excel version is 2010 or it is 2013 or something, it will look a little different. But the basic functions like Dr. Safari mentioned, you can just go click on row 5 and you can do a right click and you can say insert. These things are going to be consistent across all of the applications and all of the operating systems. So don't be confused if something doesn't look like how it is looking in my screen. Awesome. Okay, I think it's good for a short break to ask questions. So let me take a pause. And is everything okay until now, or do you have any questions?
Any questions so far? How was it so far? Is this like too much information or you want to learn more? You guys need to give us some feedback. Yunisha, you were smiling. Did you know everything we covered? Did you know so far? Do you want to learn more?
Yes, I learned about these and I pretty much use Excels. So
Okay.
I want to learn more.
You want to, okay, got it. Got it. Okay, good. Thank you. Anybody else? Prakriti.
It's clear, ma'am.
Did you know Excel before? Is this something useful to you?
Yes, it is useful, but still I have to learn something new, and still I'm learning too.
Is this too
Thank you.
much information what we are doing right now? Is this too much fast or is it the pace is okay for you?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, okay, good.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. All right. So, okay, now we have this table and now what else can we do? Okay, let's try some basic functions, right? So let's try to do additions, subtractions, and things like that.
Good idea.
So before I start using this table, let's just go into I'll come back to this table. Let's go into a new sheet, and let me make this a little bigger. And we can just start doing some basic things. Like we can go into the data later. So you can just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I have 5 numbers. And if I want to get the sum of all of the 5 numbers, you select all the 5 numbers and you go to the bottom and you see the sum is 15, count is 5. Are you guys seeing that? Average is 3 in the bottom.
Where are you showing?
In the bottom part of my screen, it says sum is 15,
I don't.
count is
Oh,
5.
there. It's
Yeah.
too small.
Yeah, it's too small. Yeah. Okay, that is one way to do this, but there are like multiple ways. So let's get into it. So I know that I need to do a sum of all of these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my select the cell where I want the sum. And you see this auto sum option in the top. Top right, I'm highlighting this summation mathematical symbol. And when I click on that, it is automatically going to select all of the columns that I already have. And I can just say enter. Now that will give the sum of all of the 5 numbers. This is one way of doing it. Or you can simply say any calculation that you want to do in Excel, it has to start with an equal to sign, right? You can say equal to, and you can start typing in individual cells. If I say B1, B2, B3, B4, and B5, it will do the exact same thing. So today we'll just look at the sum function. I think that is very helpful, and then we can extend that sum. Okay, function. All right, any calculation that we want to do in Excel is what I call as a function. So we have this formula, and we can use this formula like to do different things. And each of those formulas that does a specific thing is what is called as a function in Excel. It could be a sum function, or it could be an average function, or it could be a subtracting function. It could be a lot of those. So any operation that you're performing is what we call as a function in Excel, right? So since I have a group of cells here that are continuous to one another, right? I have cells like data in cell B1 to B5, and it is all right next to one another. So I don't need to type in all of the other things that I have. So I don't need to say B1 plus B2 plus B3 plus B4 plus B5. I can just say B1 colon B5, which means from B1 all the way to B5, can you give me a sum of all of those? So I'm just using a sum function here, which is exactly that auto sum function did for us. Like I'll delete it and I'll click on that auto sum function once again, which is exactly what it did for us. So in this case, since summation is a very common tool that we use in Excel, they have a dedicated function, but we can use this to calculate average, right? So if I remove sum, and if I say average, and it will give me average, right? So we can customize this based on whatever our need is, and then we can do things accordingly. And the other thing that you would want to know is that, say I want to fill something in my, let's go back here, and say I want to insert a row number. right? So I have 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm manually entering each of these row numbers because I only had 9 rows. It is not taking me a lot of time. But say I have hundreds of rows, right? I cannot just manually go type in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all the way to 100. It is really difficult. So what we can do in that case is we'll just say 1. And you see the small square thing that is in the bottom of that and in that intersection. Let me zoom in again. So the square, and if I take and place my mouse over there, it will become a plus button. So now you drag this, it will say 1 in all of my rows. What I'm doing is I'm filling the same content that I had in row 3 all the way to row 11. But this is not useful for us because I want my individual rows to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm only getting 1 in everything. So what we are going to do is simply type 2 in the second row. Now I'm going to select 1 and 2 together, and I'm going and hovering over that small green box in the end. And now my cursor becomes a black plus button, right? So now I drag it, I can get the numbers automatically populated, right? So let's do that again. So I have row 1 and 2, and I want the rest to be populated automatically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select row 1 and 2 so that Excel understands that I want the subsequent numbers to be populated in the cells. And I'm going to the bottom right edge of that cell. My pointer becomes a black plus sign. That is important. And now you click and you drag all the way to the row that you want. You can keep going as much as you want. Like it will just populate the numbers accordingly. In this case, if we just want it until 9, we'll just drag it until 9. Yeah, so now this is an option for us to fill things automatically, and we can do multiple things using this function. So we filled numbers, right? So you can get months in a similar way. So if I say January, and if I drag everything, it will keep saying January to me. But say I want to have these months in order. So now I say January and February, and I select both of them, and I drag all of this. Okay. We ran into some kind of a challenge here. January, February. Let's try this. Okay. So it is apparently not working for the month, but it will work for the years. So when we say 2021, then we say 2022, then we select, okay, it should work. So this is what we use to automatically fill a lot of things when you're filling in your students' marks or your student subjects or something, and then you want all of these things to automatically populate for you. You can do this.
So if I want just even numbers or multiples of 5, can I go 5, 10 and then pull it down?
Yes, yeah. Let's try even numbers. Let's say 2 and 4, and let's see what happens. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Excel is smart enough to understand what is that series that you're trying to do. And if I say, similarly, it will work for odd numbers, and you said 5 multiples. Let's try that too. So I have 5 and 10. Now this should be 15. There you go.
Yeah.
So we can do the same thing depending on whatever you are in need of.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to let's delete this column for now. Okay, let's take a pause. We covered a few things. Any questions from anyone?
Even if your question is like from 30 minutes ago, that's totally fine. I
Yeah.
want everyone to be very brave and ask your questions, or even your question is from 30 minutes ahead, still ask that question, because whatever question you ask, like Unisha or those of you who have done Excel for whatever you ask Chandru, then next time he comes back, then he will cover those stuff. So ask future question or past questions, they're all fine.
And it could also be, so we are at, Dr. Safari, we have 1 hour, is it?
Yes, we kind of want to finish in the next 10 minutes if you have like want to wrap up or.
Okay. So let's take 5 minutes. Actually, let's take 10 minutes to cover some content, and we will leave the final 5 minutes. So
Okay.
it could be questions related to whatever we covered today, or for people who used Excel earlier, like Unisha, Slisha. If you have any other challenges in using Excel in the work that you're already doing, we can talk about those things too.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have all of this, and it is, if you see, I have 2 teachers here. I have 5 students, and I have like I think 2 subjects and different grades. And I want to see I think some, okay, okay, let's do a simple thing. So you want to know if this person has passed or failed, right? So
Or maybe also the average grade in my class.
average grade in my class. All right, okay. So pass or fail, then average grade. For simplicity, let's break Unisha and Sabine so that we know this is Sabine's class, and then this is Unisha's class, right? So every country or state has different grading mechanism, but let's say if a student is scoring 35 plus marks, we will call that student as passed, right? So in this case, everyone has passed. Let me make Chandru as 30, and here let's say 32, right? So we want to know whether a student is pass or fail, and we can have Excel automatically do it for us. We don't need to go manually see, okay, this is 90, then this is pass. Then this is 95, then this is pass, right? This is 30, this is fail, this is pass, and this is pass. We don't need to do this, right? So we can automate this for us using a very simple function. So like I said, if you want to use any function in Excel, you always start with equal to. This equal to sign, then I'm saying if a very simple condition, my grade is greater than or equal to 35, then let's say pass, else let's say fail. So let's break this formula down, right? So I have written a formula here, very simple. Equal to, if my grade is greater than or equal to, if I add the greater than sign and followed by equal to, it means greater than or equal to 35, then it is pass. Then it is, if that is not true, what it will do is it will evaluate this condition, and if it is true, it will select the first value after the comma. If it is not true, then it will select the second value after the comma. So if we do this, it will say pass. Now, you remember the dragging thing that we saw earlier? This is where it becomes magic. So all of our formula can be dragged down, and it doesn't matter how many rows you have, you can just keep dragging this for as many rows as you want. So since we introduced a break, it would, now if I drag here, it will say fail because it will consider blank as a 0. So we'll keep dragging this and we'll delete this. Right, so now I have pass or fail. And say later your school system changes it to, okay, only if a student is 40 plus, then we need to call them as pass. The only thing that you need to do is go and update this number to 40. And you just do the same drag. It will update accordingly. So if I'm here, if I'm 40, I'll become pass. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So let's not complicate further for this. Let's go through the average function, and then let's wrap for today. If I want to know what is the average score for all of the students in Sabine's class. So Sabine has 5 students and 2 subjects. So I'm just going to do the same thing. If I want to know the average, I'm going to be like equal to average of all of the grades of Sabine's students. So Sabine students on average scored 83 across all of the subjects. But then this doesn't tell me everything. I have 2 different subjects. An average score of 83 in English could be low, but an average score of 83 in mathematics could be high. So we want to know what is the average score of mathematics separately and English separately. So what we are going to do, we don't want to take the entire set of grades. We are only taking D3 and D4. Now, this is the average of Sabine's students in English. And I just copied the same formula from here. So I am right-clicking it and I'm saying copy. You can copy formulas. And I'll paste here. Excel is smart enough to automatically change the row numbers. If you see, earlier, this formula said D3 and D4. When I copied the same formula and put it in D5, now Excel made that formula into D5 and D6. It pushed the same ranges automatically. But then I have 3 students here in mathematics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to D7. So now I can tell a much better data point, which is Sabine students score on average 93 in English, but they score only 77 in mathematics. So Sabine students are performing much better in English, but not as good in mathematics. So when someone is looking at it, they'll be able to tell, okay, now maybe there is something going on with mathematics and we need to teach these students better. So they'll be able to understand this. Let's do the same calculation. I'm going to copy the same formula from here. Now I want to know what is the average of UNISHA students in English, which is 61. And I want to know what is the average of UNISHA students in mathematics, which is 92. Now, so we have 4 different data points, right? So now we have UNISHA teaching the same 2 subjects and Sabine teaching the same 2 subjects. Now, Sabine is teaching English better than UNISHA because Sabine students are scoring on average better in English. And UNISHA is teaching mathematics better than Sabine. So like we can make all of these inferences and we can see, okay, which teacher is better at doing which subject. So we can accordingly shift our students to this teacher so that they can play to their strengths. they can teach whatever they are better at teaching. And now we can collectively improve the average of our students. So those are the things that we can try to interpret from all of this. And I mean, for someone who is looking at it and then like wants to decide who has to do what, this is how they will be able to make all of those decisions. And this is a very simple example of how Excel is useful. Uh, Big companies ranging from Reliance, Apple, Amazon, if you heard of all of these companies, every single company uses Excel, and to know Excel and be able to do some basic functions is again super helpful, and it will only increase your employability. Like maybe you don't aspire to be a teacher all your life. Maybe you want to do something else, work in accounting, work in sales, anything that you want to do. To know this really well is going to be an amazing skill to have, and employers would love to have someone who understands Excel and can work with it. Cool. I'll take a pause here. I think this is good content for today. I think for the next 5 minutes, we can talk about any questions anyone has.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. Also, everyone, from now until Chandru will come back in 2 weeks. So if you have any questions from now until 2 weeks, and I want you to go and practice Excel and do different things and try to even watch YouTube videos, and I'll send you this video, and try to, even if you've never ever used Excel, I want you to start using it. If you don't have access to Excel, in your school, in your university, at work, see if there's Excel on the computers there. Is there a way to get quick access to Excel, Chandru, for them to start practicing?
They can go to, if they have a Google account, Dr. Safari, like they can go to Google's. They don't need to have Excel. Actually, Google has a free solution called Google Sheets.
Yeah.
We can let me, glad you asked that question. Let me quickly open that.
Yeah. So you don't have to have the Excel Microsoft. If you have it, great. If you don't have it, Google Spreadsheet does the exact same thing. So if you have a Gmail account, you just need to go to the Google Spreadsheet and use that. So I want you for the next 2 weeks to start using, make up lists of the things, your budget, your time, your schedule, everything, and then play with it. And then come back and ask questions from Chandru, or email me all your questions and I'll forward them to Chandru to respond when he comes back.
Yeah, I just pasted a link for all of you in the chat. So this is Google's free version. I hope, like, since you're all on Zoom, I'm sure you will all have a Google account. Yeah. So you just go in here and you say a blank spreadsheet. This is pretty much what we saw in Excel. So all of the things that we were able to do in Excel, we should be able to do in Google Sheets. And if you don't know what a particular function does, you can just take your mouse pointer and point it on top of that, and it will always tell you what it does. Like if you do this, it says decrease decimal places, increase decimal places. So you always, and make it bold, make it italic. So you have the exact similar function. I understand it looks a little bit different from what we saw in Excel, but then all of the calculations and everything will work exactly the same in Google Sheets, how it worked in Excel. Probably we should have started in Google Sheets, Dr.
Yeah.
Safar. I think it would have been, next time.
Yeah, we do it like a 10-minute review at the beginning. We do it in Google Sheet. Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah. Okay, great. Any questions? I just want to give a second. Any questions from anyone here? No? Yes, maybe. Any feedback? Was this useful? Is this something you like to do more of it?
Yeah, in next 2 weeks, I want to learn more about sort and filter.
Filters.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll make a note of it. Sort and filter. Good. It's always good to know what you want to learn because there are infinite possibilities with Excel, and I can take 100 sessions and not cover anything that you are looking for. So when you know what you're looking for, it becomes super helpful for me.
Yes, great. Thank you. Thank you, Yunisha, for the feedback. Anyone else? So I want everyone to start practicing Excel and try to make maybe the same thing that Chandru made today, this table. Try to make it if you've never used it. And then come back and say, I tried to make it, it never happened. It was so difficult. Or, you know, I know this is all easy. I already know everything. I want to learn about filters or whatever that you want to learn about. Okay. So, but okay, so since there is no question at this moment, let's end the session. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you everyone for your time. I'm gonna stop the recording so that we can take a group picture. But this is been a basically 5 out of 6 months training, leadership training, which we covered a lot of topics from communication. For teachers, we did like classroom management and child psychology. For everybody, we did like time management, financial literacy, conflict management. For teachers, we did curriculum development, mental health. We talked about personal health. We talked about public speaking, physical fitness. And then next week, since Yunisha and Prakriti and some of you, I think even Jasmine asked me, you guys want to have a writing class, kind of you want to learn how to write a personal statement so that you can apply for better jobs, or you can apply for universities, sort of a thing. So next session, we want to do writing session. So bring all your writing questions to the next session, okay? All right, so let me stop the recording here so we can take a picture together.